Hello everyone. You are watching Fundamentals of Financial Derivatives with Ravindra Hegde. Friends, today let us understand how the financial derivatives can be classified. Today let us understand in detail the types of financial derivatives. Uh, just look at the screen. The derivatives can be classified as financial derivatives and commodity derivatives. So one form of classification is done in between commodity derivatives and financial derivatives. Friends, the basic difference between these is the nature of the underlying instrument or asset. In a commodity derivatives, the underlying instrument is a commodity which may be wheat, cotton, pepper, sugar, jute, turmeric, corn, soya beans, crude oil, natural gas, gold, silver, copper, and so on. In a financial derivative, the underlying asset, the underlying instrument may be treasury bills, stocks, bonds, foreign exchange, stock index, gilt edged securities, cost of living index, etc. Friends, it is to be noted that financial derivative is fairly standard and there are no quality issues. Whereas in commodity derivative, the quality may be the underlying matters. However, the distinction between these two from structure and functioning point of view, both are almost similar in nature. Uh, so, in a commodity derivatives, the underlying instrument is a commodity which may be wheat, cotton, paper, and so on. And in a financial derivative, the underlying instrument may be treasury bills, stocks, bonds, gilt edged securities, cost of living index, etc. Another way of classifying the financial derivatives is into basic and complex derivatives. See, in this, forward contracts, future contracts, and option contracts have been included in the basic derivatives, and on the other hand, swaps and other complex derivatives are taken into complex category because they are built up from either forward or futures or option contracts or uh, both. So this is the classification on the basis of their nature. So derivatives can be classified as financials and commodities. Financial derivatives can be again classified as basic and complex. In basic, you have four options: forward, futures, options, warrants, and convertibles. You will come to know pretty soon regarding these things. And complex can be classified as swaps and exotics. That is not standard. Uh, See, we can also classify the derivatives on the basis of market trading also. On the basis of market trading, the financial derivatives can be classified into two categories. That is exchange traded derivatives. It is in short called it as ETD, and over the counter derivatives. In short, we do call it as OTC, ETD and OTC. Derivative contracts that are traded and privately negotiated directly between the two parties without going through an exchange or other intermediary are called as OTC derivatives, over the counter derivatives. And on the other side, the derivatives which are traded on the recognized exchanges are known as exchange traded derivatives, or ETD or ETC also. See, the OTC derivative market is the largest market for derivatives and largely unregulated and directly executed by the parties themselves. The information relating to some of these are not disclosed generally. On the other hand, a derivative exchange is a market where individuals trade in standardized contracts which have been specified by the respective exchange. So just concentrate on the screen now. On the basis of market trading, the financial derivatives can be classified into two categories: ETD and OTC, exchange traded derivatives, and the over the counter derivatives. The derivative contracts that are traded directly between the two parties without going through an exchange or other intermediary called as OTC derivatives, and the derivatives which are traded on the recognized exchanges are known as exchange traded derivatives or exchange traded counters. Friends, now let us know the distinction between OTC and ETD in detail. Just look at the screen and remember all the points in the exam also. So from the exam point of view, it's very important to know the difference between OTC and ETD derivatives. The first point, parties to the contract. In ETD, the transactions are done through the recognized exchanges. There may be more than two parties in such contract. And in OTC, the contracts are privately placed, which may be routed directly or through broker agent. So in ETD, there may be more than two parties in the contract, but in OTC, there are only two parties. Next point about the exchange. ETD are traded on the recognized exchanges and OTC are traded over the counters of the respective parties directly. This is the difference. Next difference, specification. In ETD, these contracts are standardized in terms of quantity, quality of asset, maturity, etc. Such standards are decided by concerned exchanges. And in OTC, these contracts are made on the basis of the requirements of the parties. Terms and conditions of the contracts are decided parties themselves. So this is very important. See, in ETD, the standards are decided by the concerned exchanges, whereas in OTC, the terms and conditions of the contract are decided by the parties themselves. Next point is the delivery date. ETD contracts are delivered on the specified date as per the exchange notifications. But whereas OTC derivatives, the delivery date of these contracts are settled by the parties themselves. So in ETD, the contracts are delivered as per the exchange notifications, and in OTC, the delivery date of the contracts are settled by the parties themselves. Next, about the settlement. So in ETD, the contracts are settled through recognized clearing house of exchange, and in OTC, the contracts are settled by the parties themselves. No third party is involved in this process, dear friends. These contracts are settled by the parties themselves, and in ETD the contracts are settled through recognized clearing house of the exchange. Next, about margin. You will come to know pretty soon in the next topics about the margin. All margins are required in these contracts, which are to be paid by the parties to their members of the exchange. This is called as margin, and the margin is decided by the exchanges. And in OTC, the quite interesting thing is no such margin is normally required to be paid either of the parties of the contract. So there is no margin in OTC, and there is a margin in ETD. Next, cost of the contract. In ETD, the contracts are done through the members of the exchange, hence entails brokerage fee for buy and sell orders. You need to give some brokerage amount. You need to pay some in a small amount as a brokerage for buying or selling the underlying. In OTC, the cost of this is based on the bid ask spread. You already studied the meaning of bid ask in forex. So the difference of buying and selling price. Next, credits risk. In ETD, the contracts are settled through clearing house. So there is no risk of settling the contract at the maturity date. In OTC, there is a credit risk for each party. These contracts are riskier in nature. Credit limits must be fixed for each party. So in ETD, the risk is nil. The risk is zero. The reason is the contracts are settled through clearing house, and in OTC there is a risk because the contracts are settled by the party itself. So these are the few differences between OTC and ETD derivatives. Friends, now let us understand some of the basic financial derivatives. The forward contracts, future contracts, option contracts, warrants, and convertibles and swap contracts are commonly come under basic financial derivatives. And in the coming topics, we will learn in detail regarding forward, future, options, swaps and all. And in this session, let us have a small idea in a concrete fashion. Okay, let us understand the terms forward, future, options, warrant and swap, and in detail uh, let us understand these things in the future uh, videos. What is forward contract? It is a customized contract between two entities where settlement takes place on a specific date in the future at today's pre-agreed price. Pre-agreed price. So a forward contract is a simple customized contract between two parties to buy or sell an asset at a certain time in the future for a certain price. Unlike future contracts, they are not traded on an exchange, rather traded in the OCT, over the counter market, usually between two financial institutions or between a financial institution and its client. So, a forward contract is an agreement between the counterparties to buy or sell a specified quantity of an asset at a specified price with delivery at a specified time. That is called as a future and place. These contracts are not standardized. Each one is usually being customized to its owner's specifications. To its owner specifications. Let me give an example. You just look at the screen. For example, an Indian car manufacturer buys auto parts from a Japanese car maker with payment of 1 million yen due in 60 days. An Indian car manufacturer buys auto parts from a Japanese car maker with payment of 1 million yen due in 2 months. The importer in India is short of yen and supposes present price of yen is say rupees 68. Over the next 60 days, yen may rise to say rupees 70. The importer can hedge this exchange risk by negotiating a 60 days forward contract with a bank at a price of rupees 70. Sorry. According to forward contract, in 60 days, the bank will give the importer 1 million yen and importer will give the banks 70 million rupees to bank. So this is about a forward contract. A future contract is an agreement between two parties to buy or sell an asset at a certain time in the future at a certain price. Friends, like a forward contract, a future contract is an agreement between two parties to buy or sell a specified quantity of an asset at a specified price and at a specified time and place. Future contracts are normally traded on exchange, which sets the certain standardized norms for trading in the future contracts. So futures, I hope you understood the meaning. Let me give an example. Just look at the screen now. A speculator expects an increase in price of gold from current future price of rupees 9,000 per 10 gram. The market lot is say 1 kg and he buys one lot of future gold. So 9,000 into 100 rupees, 9 lakh. It's just a value, okay? It's not the current figure. Assuming that there is 10% margin money requirement and 10% increase occur in price of the gold, the value of transaction will also increase. That is rupees 9,900 per 10 gram and total value will be rupees 9,90,000. So in other words, the speculator earns rupees 90,000. Friends, don't get panic now. So next topic is about futures and forwards. We do solve a lot of examples there and definitely you will understand all these concepts in the coming topics. Next, options. It's a contract between two parties whereby one party obtains the right but not the obligation to buy or sell a particular asset at a specified price on or before a specified date. Friends, we also have a topic called options. In the coming days, definitely we will discuss in detail about options. Still, let me give some of the few ideas regarding options. See, options are the most important group of derivative securities. Option may be defined as a contract between two parties whereby one party obtains the right but not the obligation to buy or sell a particular asset at a specified price on or before a specified date. The person who acquires the right is known as the option buyer or option holder, while the other person who confers the right is known as option seller or option writer. The seller of the option for giving such option to the buyer charges an amount which is known as option premium. And options can be divided into two types: calls and puts. A call option gives the holder the right to buy an asset at a specified date for a specified price, whereas in put option the holder gets the right to sell an asset at a specified price and time. The specified price in such contract is known as the exercise price or the strike price, and the date in the contract is known as the expiration date or the exercise date or the maturity date. I hope you have studied these aspects in become sixth sem in forex, right? I hope you remember some of the issues there. Now let us move on to the next issue, that is we have studied we understood these things. Options can be divided into two types: calls and puts. A call option gives the holder the right to buy an asset at a specified date for a specified price, whereas in put option the holder gets the right to sell an asset at the specified price and time. Next is the warrants. Longer dated options are called as warrants. See, the option may be a very lesser period contract. So whenever you have longer dated options, then it is called as warrants and are generally traded over the counter. They are traded OTC, okay, over the counter. Next is the leaps. The leaps means long term equity anticipation securities. The full form of leap is long term equity anticipation securities. This is called as leap. See, these are the options having a maturity of up to 3 years. So the leap have the maturity period of up to 3 years. Next is the baskets. See, basket options are the options on portfolios of underlying assets. See, the index options are form of basket options. And the last one is the swaps. See, swaps have become popular derivative instrument in recent years all over the world. A swap is an agreement between two counterparties to exchange the cash flows in future. So swaps are the private agreements between two parties to exchange cash flows in the future according to a pre-arranged formula. So the two commonly used swaps are interest rate swaps and currency swaps. So in interest rate swaps, it entails the swapping only the interest related cash flows between the parties in the same currency. On the other hand, in currency swap, it entails the swapping both principal and the interest on different currency than those in the opposite direction. So friends, in a nutshell, let us recollect. The derivatives are classified as financials and commodities. Financial derivatives again classified into basics and complex. Basic financial derivatives can be classified as forwards, futures, options, and warrants and convertibles. Complex financial derivatives can be classified as swaps and exotics. So this is the classification done on the basis of their nature. And you can also classify the derivatives on the basis of the market trading. So derivatives can be classified into two categories based on the market trading as ETD and OTC. ETD is again classified as equity, interest rate and foreign exchange. And each of the equity, interest rate and foreign exchange can be classified as future and options. And options again classified as interest rate, that is OTC, can be classified as interest rate, forex and credit. Okay, so in forex we have forward, swap and options. So just concentrate on the picture here, definitely you will understand all these things very well. Guys, this is about the types of the financial derivatives. Thank you so much.